it.
Well, welcome everybody. Coach Linden here.
Amy.
And Coach Debbie here.
And of course, this is Coach's Corner, where we cover all things holistic health, physical, mental, some spiritual stuff, but like we try to not get too heady on you guys. We're all about helping people change their relationship with food and fitness, and this is an extension of doing that by sharing different things that we see, experience, and think that will help all of you. So if you like the video, share the video, and of course, hit that notification and subscribe button. We want you to know when it's coming, and of course, share it with those that you care about. All right? Any topics today?
Well, no.
Whoa! He was like, well,
no, I
your
don't.
list?
But I can come up with some on the fly. How about this? How about we just talk about what we're excited about coming up?
excited about coming up?
Yeah,
That's
coming
a-
up.
Catch that?
What does
Catch
the
it?
excitement
Wait,
look like?
excitement?
I don't know if I'm excited, but
Or
it's coming.
excitable?
I can talk about what I was excited that has happened.
All right,
like
yeah,
was
let's do
cool.
that.
Wasn't a cool, excitable thing. I went to Rochester Museum and Science Center for their big opening for the Lego exhibit. It sounds crazy, but when you see it, there's animals built as Lego structures. So like there's polar bears, bees.
Are they life size?
Yes.
That's fire.
Are a little bit bigger than life size for some of them. So like some of them have used over 150,000
Legos.
Legos. Yeah. So it was like a really cool setup. We got tickets for the opening night from Deke, who's in my men's group. So we went, and it was a great time. It was a great time. They had a nice little setup. There were a bunch of kids there. You know, it's the Museum and Science Center. It was open to the public. You just had to get tickets.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like we just had a good time. So you know, I like building and getting with people who not only you can relate to, but people who push you to be better. And this is one of those moments, like it was like schmoozing a little bit, right? We're in there with the big wigs over at ESL, and we were in their private room because Deke is on their board. He volunteers and does a lot of that stuff. So there was a lot of them there. So just meeting people asking you questions. It was one of those moments to create connection. Full disclosure, if you ever see this, I'm gonna hold you to a conversation. My yogi sister's husband, Ujama, works over there, right? And he runs their entire loaning department. So it's always something we talk about is like collaboration between us. What's her name? Starts with an M. Just started coming a step recently. She dances. Melissa. I thought it was Melissa, and I didn't want to say Marissa.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I don't want to get it wrong. Melissa actually spoke on like something like that, collaboration.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the topic.
Collaboration.
Like, yeah, I mean, we've all collaborated, right? Like, people, I don't know if people know this, but it started where you came in as your own entity, essentially.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's the acceptance of the thing, right? Like, and I came in, I said that you should come in as your own entity. I wanted to help people. And I noticed really quickly that in business, wanting to help people is great. Actually helping people is different, right? So it was actually a better model for all of us if I just assumed that I am the umbrella, right? And then we do things under the umbrella. So I guess we should, I was thinking about like connections, communication, which does speak to collaboration.
Yeah.
Connections, communication, and collaboration.
3 C's?
Is that in that order? Connections? No, yeah, is that in that order?
Communication.
Yeah, I know.
connection.
That's why I'm confused. Communication
Connection.
technically
Well,
creates
sometimes you might have to
connection.
connect with somebody before you
Before you
communicate
can
with them,
actually-
right?
that's what I'm
where
thinking.
the networking comes in, I think.
Yeah,
Connect,
that's why I thought about it like
Then
that.
you
Connection, communication,
communicate,
collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
and then
Yeah.
and so on and so on.
You know the order now.
Communicate, collaborate. Communicate, collaborate.
We talked about the 4 levels of consciousness last time. Had
Yeah.
some interesting talks. For some reason, all the talks are always connected. For some reason.
For some reason.
And
Weird.
If you know, you know.
only if you know, right? If you know, you know. So we actually, our next big thing, hopefully that I get to announce, again, this is like a prequel to the announcement, we'll be partnering with Turntable Rock. in order
Yeah.
to do our karaoke night over there. Again, this is an unofficial announcement. So if that's like something to be excited about, ties back to your
Yeah,
thing.
it is.
All right, great.
We've been
We
putting
don't know. Like, I mean, I got to work it out.
Karaoke off for quite some time, and we kind of know.
I mean, you know,
This is all I gotta say. The team's together now. Now we can manifest for real.
I'm waiting for Amy to be like, you guys suck at this, and that.
I'm waiting for that too. I only get like a little bit. You guys suck at this. And then I'm like,
Here's an
man.
email. of
Strongly
all the
worded
things
email.
strongly worded email.
Strongly worded
I'm gonna
email.
read this email. I'm gonna be like,
Got my haircut short. Let me write
it's
that email.
right. Yeah.
they're bullet pointed, and it's 67 bullet
I
points.
do like a good bullet
Yeah,
point.
me too.
Yeah, you gotta break
Yeah,
it
I
out.
like that. You don't?
I don't think I've ever really thought about it.
I like to read a whole excerpt where you gotta like look through and highlight what the
Okay, you like
thing
the
is.
order of a bullet point.
Yeah, if it's just like this.
I was gonna
Great
say I
for
don't.
organizing.
Yeah, I don't really. I guess I don't really. I'm cool with bad news, but especially when it leads to great news. But I'm not. Like, if it's just bad to be bad, I ain't with it. Like, if Amy sends me bullet points, I'd read every single one,
Yeah,
right?
right.
When Ivy sends me the C of a statement, I'm excited to read her statements. I'm not mad at it. I'm mad at it when I know for a fact that there's so much in this that doesn't say anything, and I'm about to have to decipher what you mean. Like, then I'm like, all right, I don't really know if I want to read that.
See, I like bullet points because I don't think of it as like bad and good things. It more feels like patch notes. And then,
I do love some good
reading
patch notes.
I'm
That's
sorry,
fair.
I
That's
love
fair.
reading patch
That's
notes.
fair. But see, that's news that you can know can be good or like you get to determine if
What
it's good or
changed.
bad. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So I realized that a while back. I was like, this is a terrible email, but I learned so much. Right, like it's like that, right? Working with yogis, their thing is not really being super organized. You know, and to say some of them ain't.
You say yogis or
But-
artists?
I worked with yogis, so I didn't work with artists until more recently, right?
I think most yogis are artists.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
there's a lot of crossover.
That's pretty fair. Yeah, I was like, well, I was sitting there
all,
thinking
yeah.
about it. I was like, well, that's a deep. All right,
a hard one.
Whatever. It's most people are yogis, right? So
Most
like
yogis are artists, so you put two and two together, huh?
that means everyone is an artist. Yeah, I'm not.
But I'm not a dancer.
I am.
Well, it's I like to think of it as like we're movement practitioners in general, right? So like again, this goes to like how you do things, right? So I like to associate myself with movement, but I don't like the box of I only do this.
Yeah.
But that's also why like I see why people want their boxes. It keeps them comfortable, it feels good, things in between. I hate boxes because it feels so limiting. Right?
I thought you were going to say the same reasons. Because it keeps you comfortable. People want their own.
I mean, it's
thing.
pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
What the outside of
Limiting,
it.
yeah.
And then keeping it real, right? Like I could definitely say over a period of my life, like if I had stayed in my box, we wouldn't be here today. Right? So I don't like being someone who people depend on. That sounds crazy based on who I am today, but it's real. Once I take that very seriously, right? Sound familiar?
Yeah.
When you take it really, really seriously, it's like training in the
Hyperbolic time
no,
chamber.
not the hyperbolic
Shit.
time chamber. It's like training when he was going to Namek, when he was in the gravity chamber. That's what it's like.
Like the
Yeah,
gravity
you
was
could
up,
up
like,
the gravity
yeah.
to 200, 100,
Times Earth's
500.
gravity.
So every time someone's like, here's a new burden, it's like up it by 20, up it by 30, up it by 40. So your weight gets heavier, right?
each
Which is
step.
why so many people have trouble even being in that space, right? But if, 'cause I don't know if you get this analogy or not, we're talking about like Dragon Ball Z
Yeah,
stuff.
Dragon Ball Z shit.
Yeah,
okay.
what makes it a good analogy is all you have to think about is the Earth's gravitational pull, and if it doubled, like when you take on a new responsibility, if that doubled, you'd be slower,
Yeah.
right? It'd be harder to breathe. Like just living would be more difficult or challenging. Whenever you take on something new, having that happen kind of makes it so you aren't as fast, you're slower, right? There's a process to becoming who you were in that same space.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're going through that process, certain people in my life have taught me that some are slower than others, but they really don't believe they can get grace while doing so. Like they gotta already be there instead of it's okay to get there, right? That's not true. That's not
that
true at all.
reminds me of the talk you had with Carol last session.
I was thinking about our friend Sarah.
That too.
I was thinking about what she's experiencing. Well, again, we can relate this to so many people. I've been there, right? Amy was going through it when she first started. I'm sure you're still going through it.
I feel like I'm right in the middle of that.
Yeah, like it's not that you can't. It's just that it doesn't feel good, right? And so many people are like, well, it's supposed to feel good. I'm like, that's not necessarily true. Like, I don't know real growth that was like, I'm great. I'm so grateful this is happening because it feels great. I'm grateful this is happening because I know it's going to happen.
Right.
Right? And it's that for me. So I was just thinking about that because I did go see Sarah last night after we went to the Museum of Science Center. We got out and we walked down to her setup for her new
Installation.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was like, there's a word.
Exhibition.
Exhibition is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where she's setting up and she's just starting to set up. So we were like going over it and it was divine. Like it was a divine thing to go, right? This is one of those connected moments because she needs like certain things and the person who could provide them and do it exactly how she needs it was like, oh yeah, I got that. I can just do that. And I was like, yeah, we were supposed to come here tonight. Like that was, it felt like
Someone
that.
you were with?
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was me, Mr. Brown, and Matt.
Yeah.
We've been having I don't know. I just had one of those right before we set up for this, where Carol was in here, and Carol was talking about like needing an electrician potentially, and I was like, you know what, Carol, you're paying for this, and you should probably just reach out to the community, see if there's anyone who knows an electrician or is an electrician, because that's what this community does best, I think. I was like, I need a haircut. I need a budget. I need whatever I need. Like realize.
It's hilarious that he needs a budget and he lives with you.
No, this was before I was living with her. that
Oh,
needed
okay.
that
I was
budget,
like, it's just funny to hear you say that, and you live with like a whole financier.
Well, yeah. Nah, this is.
I do have a nice budget sheet. It has multiple.
Yeah, this
I
is
have to say though, and this is something I learned. It is hard to ask for help from those closest to you.
Facts.
It is.
Because you don't want them to be like, no, and don't talk to me ever again.
You know.
That's obviously the first answer.
I was gonna
Probably.
say, my fear is more like you see me weak,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I don't like. I'm okay with you seeing a side of me that could be viewed as weak, but I don't want to be seen as weak, right? Like that's kind of one of my things. You can see me in my vulnerable spaces, but even then, it's not weak, which we spoke to before. So if we're talking about the ability to communicate and get to know, like that's what it is for me. I'm speaking for me. That's how I'm like, I'm about to go tell Ashley that I'm like real bad at like understanding what our kids are asking for, right? Because that's the phase is hard for me. Like once they're 2, got it, right? Like got it. Like 2, 3, I know how to play with them. I know how to spend time with them. I know exactly what I'm trying to do, right, to grow. But that infant to 2 stage, I'm like, I don't know. He just keeps falling, right? Like in my mind, yeah. It's hard because you have to really learn the nonverbals, right? Like, and I think that kind of I'm realizing this now, right? It's the older we get, if you really know a person, this is a bold statement, but I'm gonna say it. In order to love people in their entirety, you have to learn that everyone's kind of like Russian dolls. All right? Now, I'm not talking about emotional layers, but I am talking about emotional layers, so I'm going to give context to that. Let's say you have pivotal moments in your life, right? So when you were 3, there was a traumatic, your parents fought a lot. So that's a thing that you now turned into a doll. It's a statement in your life that you now hold on to. Let's say when you were 10, you got beat up by your first bully, right? And now you're bad at standing up for yourself, right? You're 15, right? And you have your first experience sexually, right? And it's not a good one. So now all of those layers create the person that
Person you're
stands
looking
before
at.
me today. So I heard it recently where it was like, this is a great question to ask your spouse when there is something that you guys are having trouble resolving. Says, what age are you in this conflict? Right? Like, what thing are you experiencing that's making you do
you're
what
trying
you're
to
doing right now?
Right.
Right? And like, let's say my archetype person that I just created, their childhood trauma where they can't stand up to who they feel is bullying them. Like, let's say you're like, I don't understand, and you're trying to talk over them. Then they're back to that 10-year-old, right? They're back to that 10-year-old who lost their first fight. So now they are cowering or being afraid of you, but it's not really, it's about what you're doing. It's not about you.
Yeah. That's an emotional flashback right
Correct.
there.
Correct. And how about, what if you start doing it subconsciously?
Oh,
Now
that's
all
how
of
it
your
usually
patterns,
happens, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Now all your patterns are based on that moment, and you've never gone back and unpacked that moment, right? No one's ever told you that you weren't supposed to win that fight. It was okay that you didn't. No one told you it was safe to express yourself because that was a bully, right? You get what I'm saying? Like those things that would help you rewrite it. So like, that's why I said it is about your emotional trauma, but it's more about what you did with it, right? It's not about the experience. It's about how you now look
Navigate.
back at it and
Yeah.
navigate that experience now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot because I always speak to awareness of a thing and how that changes it for me. Like, I think for a long time I was in my head and out loud being like, I don't like this thing about me. I'm going to change it. Like, I would even make promises to people like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on that, I'm gonna change that. And then I would see myself not changing. And the change that I had was the grace that you're speaking of. It's like, I'm not trying to change anything about me anymore. Now I'm just trying to be aware of how I'm acting based off of the thing, and once the awareness happens, sometimes there doesn't need to be a change. It's just like, now sometimes I can say, fuck you if you're upset about it, like, because I'm aware of where my actions are coming from and what it's based on, I can now say, you being offended about something that I'm doing based off of whatever this is, isn't actually affecting you. So I'm not trying to change for you. And that allows me to do something different, which looks like change.
I would, is it safe to say, it's not that, so is it safe to say, like, based on what you're saying, you are looking for, it's not grace necessarily, but it's more like grace is involved, but you're more looking for space than grace, right? Like, so grace in that space is
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
right? And that's what allows other people to be in that space with you.
Right.
But like, it was like the first time you made a mistake here, like when you first came and you were just like, I'll just not say anything or I'll back out, right? Because I've been treated this way previously. You get what I'm saying? That's that traumatic response or that trauma response that everybody loves to use the word for. But again, it's not when it happened and you showed up and you were just like, hey, and I'm like, what's up? I'm just like normal me. You're like, you good? And I'm like, are you good? And you're like, yeah, and we didn't say on it, I didn't chew you out, I didn't cuss you out. I just simply was like, well, we're doing this now, right? We're doing this. And then later you kind of came to me and you talked about it. And I was like, that's fine. And you're like, for real? I was like, yeah, it's cool. Let's just try to be better next time. Like, that's really my biggest thing. I don't really care if you fail. I just care if you improve, right? And I said that ironically. I was watching clips where I said that repeatedly, right? I was like, I don't really care how fast you grow or don't grow. I care that you're progressing, right? If you're staying stagnant, then it is a problem. So that space is what you can provide for someone who's looking to grow. Right. That's why it's great in relationship, right? It's not about necessarily getting it right every single time, but I need you to fail forward. That's facts. Failing forward does have an impact on how I view you as an individual. And sometimes I can see how your slow progress is actually hurting us. So I need you to go faster, right? But I can, telling you that is difficult in that space because you may be defensive, right? Just recently, I had to tell someone how what they do affects me as an individual. And the hard part about that was saying, like, you are the same thing that you keep blaming. And that's hurting you, and that's hurting everyone around you. I have given to you, I have been with you, I have given grace abundantly, and you're trying to tell me how it's okay that you're doing this slowly. I was like, yeah, I'm not okay with that, right? And that, I think, I hope that spurs them to be better, you know, I do. But I don't know. So even in that moment, I realized my trauma response is to stop engaging, because I don't even want to deal with you trying to act like we're cool when we're not. You get what I'm saying? Because that hurts. That hurts so much, right? It hurts so much when someone says it's fine, and then they walk around like a victim. Don't get me wrong. There's some victims out there, but in a space of love, which is why I'm saying it's space, not grace. In a space of love, mistakes are okay, right? Make mistakes, but keep growing forward together. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get you involved. Here's something. We went to Happy Earth Tea with Shay yesterday.
Yeah,
yesterday.
Shay?
Yeah.
You know who Shay is?
You do know Shay. Shay's
Shay
come
came
in
in
for
once.
community training a few times.
She got dreads.
Got dreads.
She's shorter.
I met her. At
Oh, okay,
Costco.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot her name was Shay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I don't know. That was a good conversation. We didn't really talk after we
No,
left
we didn't.
about how you felt about it. So I think that's what I'm asking. How did you feel about that?
I thought it was a
experience?
good
What'd you take away from it?
conversation. So just listening to somebody else who's actively seeking growth, you know, and walking that path. And, you know, just connecting with somebody who's been in an abusive relationship and, you know, there's a tie to children involved. It's her children though, but, you know, my situation is different because they weren't my children,
Right.
but just having a situation where, you know, you're in a thing and you're working towards, you know, building, trying to create a family, trying to find cohesion, and then realizing that that's not there. It's not going to happen. That ain't the person. You know, I think
That's hard.
I definitely related to her on that. I don't want to air her business on here, but just, you know, that like watching somebody take those steps where you're like, I really wanted this to be it and it ain't, and now I got to choose me. And then you got to keep choosing you.
And
I
she's
think
choosing her with kids.
that's the
That is
hard
rough.
part
Yeah.
is
choosing
the
yourself with children
continuation.
complicated so much.
Because, you
Damn.
know, finding yourself in that confused, alone, dark area where you're like, all right, well, now I just got to sit with me, I guess. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think
100%.
that was like, for me, it felt good because I wasn't really sure why, you know? I wasn't really sure why it was like tea with Shay and why I wanted you to be there until after we left.
Are
know?
you having some third level consciousness?
I don't know, bro. I don't know what's going on. But,
Level 3,
but
bro?
She asked me at the cheese shop. She was like, "You want me to be there?" Or you asked why I wanted. Was it why?
She just wanted to meet with you, kind of deal.
I asked if there's any reason in particular why.
That
I could tell that you wanted me to be there and you had voiced that, but I was like, is there any reason in particular why you do want me to be there? And you were like, I just feel like you should be. Fair.
Sounds
That's
like
enough
third
for
level
me.
consciousness shit for me.
You know?
To me, sounds like through me to me.
If somebody says, I just feel like you should
Yeah.
do this thing. Well, I mean, obviously there's a
Depends
caveat
on-
there.
depends on who.
Like, but I think with good intention, right? Like, if just like, I got a gut feeling that you should be involved
Yeah.
in this thing.
Gut
I'm
feeling
going to
is
listen
usually
to that
divine.
because I'm trying to listen to my gut more and speak on it. I think that's really the biggest
Yeah,
thing.
that's
is
the
like,
hard part.
I'm always listening to it, and I'm usually like, shh, or like, don't tell nobody that you thought that. And then you're like,
keep it in.
fuck,
And
I
then
was-
the rest of the time,
right.
you're like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm fine. I'm just a little uncomfortable.
yeah.
But yeah, it was good vibes. You know, we just had some tea, and I think the connection that I made as to like, oh, this is why this is happening, is because like I felt connection. You know how you talk about in certain seasons you feel connected to someone.
Drawn to someone in
Yeah,
purpose.
I feel like
or-
that's what happened with Shay. Like I was literally just at Cobb's Hill, and I've been there a bunch of times, and there's been other people working out there, and we don't say shit to each other. We just work out in space together. Maybe I say like do something to acknowledge, but that's really what it was. We were working out in space, just the two of us at Cobb's Hill. And then I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. You know, I've done some hands. I'm gonna do some handstands and get out of here. So I do handstands. I look over, she's doing inversions, right? And I'm like, she biting me or what? I don't know. So then I'm like, let me get out of here. And then I like go to leave, and she took her headphones off and she like said goodbye to me, like, and we introduced each other. And I was like, oh, I work out down the street. Do you work out here all the time? She was like, yeah, every once in a while I like to work out. And I was like, you know, that was the plug-in.
Right.
But
and that's what I met her after that.
yeah,
Right.
and then she showed up, which says something.
It does.
And then we started talking about her fasting, right? And that was the big thing. And I remember I said something when she said she was fasting and she felt lightheaded and she didn't know if she could do stuff. I was like, you should be, we should talk about that, because I think you should prepare if you're gonna fast for like that. Like,
especially based on what she wants to do.
Yeah, you should prepare. So then we never really talked about it, and that was the time that we met up to talk about the fasting. But she had also mentioned that she was going through a bunch of stuff in her life, and I think that was important for her. She messaged me afterwards and was like, thank you for that. It's perfect timing.
That's some wherewithal, man. That's some growth on your part.
But I think the connection for me was I asked the same question that I asked Invictor
Yeah.
to all of us.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
I said, what gift do you think you're bringing? You know, what gift do you think you're presenting with? And she was like, damn.
She said what?
She said, damn, that's a hard
Damn?
one. She
Oh.
said,
That's a good question.
She was like, that's a
yeah.
good question. And then she was like, I'd have to say joy, right? And I was like, all right, I know why I'm here now, you know? Like, and the way she talked about it, she was like, I don't know what it is. Just like, I've had so much shit happen in my life, and I keep waking up with joy in my heart. And I was like, damn, yeah, I feel that. You know, that's also my gift, I think, that I bring.
Yeah, we talked about that last Coach Discorder.
And I think it comes out of like necessity, and like you build it up out of necessity. I couldn't wake up with the pain and the hurt and the heaviness from the day before. I couldn't do that every day, because like I just had it consistently. It felt like the vat of acid. You know, if I don't reset, if I don't close my eyes and wake up with joy in my heart, like this is a dub. It's a dub after a few years. You know, I can't do this for time. So I think that helped me survive a certain period in my life, and now it's like what I present with. Like, you met me, I was out in the corner dancing for free. I still like to go out in the corner and dance, you know? And that is kind of what I was getting from it, is like, I realized that people don't see that, and people stop, or people like just drive by and they're like, yo, you made my day. You know, like if you know me on Instagram, I'll just get a message and be like, hey, I saw you dancing. Like, that made my day. I'm like, all right. I think that's important for people to like see you can express joy and not feel bad about it. I think I felt bad about it a lot of times. It's like,
Well,
it's a funeral, I shouldn't be smiling or laughing or dancing.
you're in the corner like, you're like, I don't know why, I just want to do this,
Yeah.
right? No, well, it's because, okay, so, well, that's a layered conversation that would have about that. We can probably have this more off camera, but let's just say, again, we're talking, this is why the levels of consciousness exist, right? Like, acknowledging where you are actually helps you to see what's happening. So like, again, if you're functioning and manifesting joy, right, which is by me, right, you're manifesting joy. How you manifest joy comes in phases and spaces and places. So when you were you danced for you first, and then you started to continue to dance for you, and you saw it affect the world. This is something that I realized, and this is why I think I'm able to do what I do in the space I do it and how I do it. I realized that as I had this gift, I said, it was like God told me, like, you're selfish to keep it to yourself, right? And when that happened, I was like, yeah, but I don't want to share it. Like, it's to share it means to have to be
Vulnerable.
with other people. No, be vulnerable, right? Not only be vulnerable, but also be, let's call it resilient. Be like being there for someone else in spite of their trauma is really hard to do. It is something you genuinely have to build yourself up to be able to do. You cannot do that just because you woke up one day, right? Which is why we all talk about how the 4 gifts were connected, right? Again, having joy allows for me to sit in space with you in your darkness, right? And I become your light because I'm sitting with you. I don't even have to say anything. So the joy you're experiencing, yes, it's awkward for people when they're not ready for it, because who wants to be ready for the thing that says, I don't have to stay here?
Yeah, you can leave this.
Right? It's okay.
want it yet.
You can move forward. I'd rather be sad. Like that's what people are kind of
real.
saying and not even realizing that's what they're saying. So it is what I was talking about with when I was saying it's layered is in the last year you have used those instances differently. You are now changing how you use those instances, and you even ask for help on how you change that instance. So this is divinity to me. Like that's divinity to me. Divinity to me, you said, hey, Truth, would you come along? Because I want to show joy, but I'm not sure how it comes across. That's wise. You get what I'm saying? That's the culmination of what you know, the experience, and then how you give it away, hence wisdom, right? I'm not going to go by myself because I've seen how this story could play out, and I really want this person to be better. Would you go with me? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Eventually you can do it by yourself, but at
I
first,
think there's something about that too. Like, I think that's the natural progression, because like the gift of dance, how it saved me, is like it came about as a fluke. It felt like, and then I fell in love with it, and then I did do it for myself for years. Like no one else watching, and as I see other people enjoy my dance, I'm like, all right, that's cool, but I realize if I'm intentionally giving it away, it does require the things I didn't have, which is like consistency. Like if people are looking at me and they're like, all right, I'm expecting Dev to like give his gift away, to like see Dev dancing, I'm doing it for me. What if I want to stop tomorrow? Like I've been in those seasons where it's just like, all right, I know that this still fills me up. I know it has its place for me. Like when I'm in this spot, I can use this to help me pull myself out of it.
sure.
And then I felt like if I'm using that and giving it away and people are seeing me and maybe identifying me as that, now I don't have I can't set it down. I can't set it down for a season and pick it back up when I'm low.
And that's exactly why you're here. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. We
Hey,
appreciate you.
I'm dead.
It is.
I'm
All right,
dead.
but no, seriously, we got to close because I don't want it to run over time too much. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Again, if you're watching these, make sure you are liking and sharing. We really do want to spread the word of what we're doing here. Also, ask questions, man. Like comment, subscribe, all the things, because it helps us reach out. If you're interested in joining us for what we do and what we love, check us out at www.gettingitdaily.com or on social media, Instagram or Facebook as Getting It Daily. We'd be happy to either get you in for class or help you start your own personal journey of healing and wellness. All right? So until next time, this is Coach Lyndon.
Amy.
Coach Devi here.
Signing off.
Peace.
Bye.